1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 3.
Shake your ass!
Everybody out there who's not acquainted with me is saying what the fuck right now.
Testing, testing, right on.
The cat's playing, I'm drinking some coffee, and I thought I would share a multiple sclerosis minute, otherwise known as my MS moments. Several people have asked me how I am doing. When we were all young, some of us jumped off of a house that was too high that we should not have jumped off of. Saying oh shit all the way down. That garage, that shit was too high. And then you know when your feet hit the ground, holy shit, and you think your legs are gonna shoot right up through your shoulders. That's what it feels like all the time. And then sometimes, if your brain doesn't connect to your legs, it's like a light switch goes out and you go down. You know when you hit your head on the ceiling or a archway or an I-beam? Hopefully not. Imagine that feeling when you hit your head really hard on something, doorway, whatever, but without the pain. Okay, that wah, wah, wah aftershock. If you've done it, you know what I mean. So imagine that without the pain, just the aftershock. It's like that all the time with multiple sclerosis. Imagine there's barbed wire wrapped around your leg bones. It's being grinding into your bones. And at the very same time, in my upper thighs, and especially on my right side, it feels like there's a hacksaw slowly cutting through the bone all day long. That's MS. So when we're smiling, that's what's happening. I was up about 4 a.m. and good morning from Gettysburg. The reason that my speech has slowed down significantly in the last couple of years is because the connection from my brain to my mouth is interrupted often because of the deteriorating myelin that protects the nerves on the brain. So I talk slower and slower. And every sentence that I say, most often, it is sometimes a struggle to remember the last sentence that I said so that I can continue with the next sentence. And that's often. Yeah, several dozen times a day. Yeah, so that's multiple sclerosis. That's your MS moment of the day. Oh, that's so nice. You're going poop poop. Yep, I'm chilling. It's hot as hell out. Summer's nice. We've been having nice days, hanging out, playing. Wind's blowing. And I hope you all are having a great weekend. It's Sunday. Keep smiling, my friends. Please be safe wherever you may roam. He's going poop poop. That's so cute. It's perfect ammunition to shoot out of the slingshot from your wheelchair out on your balcony at all the school kids. Have fun, y'all. Keep smiling.
Press Radio News. I'm Lowell Harris. God Save the Queen is the British national anthem, but as of today, Londoners are singing a new song. God, We Love Those Spitfires may be the more popular song now, as British Spitfire fighter planes have finally taken out a key Nazi factory, one that produced fuel for none other than the dreaded V-2 rocket. After several weeks of merciless punishment by this long-range menace, Londoners can breathe a sigh of relief now that the Royal Air Force appears to have severely crippled the Nazi terror for the foreseeable future. For Press Radio News, I'm Lowell Harris.
get low, oh, I get high. My man walked out, now you know that ain't right. Well, he better watch out if I meet him tonight. I said when I get low, oh, I get high. All this hard luck in this town has found me. Nobody knows how trouble goes down and found me. Oh, I'm all alone with no one to pet me. But old rocking chair ain't never gonna get me. 'Cause when I get low, oh, I get high.
For Press Radio News, I'm Lowell Harris. Allied forces flexed their muscle on January 16th as they pushed back the Ardennes offensive, which was launched by Nazi troops in December. New reports indicate that the German armor has been left in pieces as the Allies continue their march toward Berlin, and victory gets even closer to fruition.
Hay olor a tren, hay olor a lluvia y a polvo también. Y si cruza un rayo el cielo, la paternal a mí me suena como el
rope throw and bramble. Soon we'll be living high and wide. My heart's calculating, my true love will be waiting at the end of the line. Move 'em on, hit 'em up, move 'em on, hit 'em up, come on, hide, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, rawhide. Delta Radio, Empire Band.
8:55 Eastern Daylight Time and Elmer Davis in the news. Brought to you tonight by the Gillette Safety Razor Company. Just time to tell you that today's improved Gillette Blue Blade, made of steel hard enough to cut glass, has the sharpest edges ever produced. That's why it gives you the quickest, easiest shave ever. Ask your dealer for Gillette Blue Blade. First day of the German blitzkrieg against the Low Country seems to have met with only very moderate success. Both Dutch and Belgians are resisting fiercely, and the Belgians have already been reinforced by strong mechanized columns of British and French troops from the Western Front, responding to the call for help sent out by both small nations after they were invaded. The Dutch and Belgian high commands tonight flatly say the invasion has failed. German advance has been greatest where Holland and Belgium meet. Pick up the Dutch city of Maastricht, swarmed across the projecting tip of Dutch territory, and say they have taken some bridges on the Albert Canal in northern Belgium. Farther south, they claim to have occupied the town of Malmedy, lost to Belgium by the Treaty of Versailles. Attacks on France and Belgium through Luxembourg have been stopped so far at the frontier. The invasion of the Netherlands seems to have been held at the IJssel River, where the town of Arnhem has resisted German attacks. And many, if not most, of the parachute troops dropped all over Holland before dawn this morning have been mopped up by squads of Dutch machine gunners traveling in fast automobiles. German claim this morning that the Dutch capital, The Hague, had been captured by troops landed on the beach was not correct. Dutch troops and warships repulsed. Parachute troops dropped a few miles from Queen Wilhelmina's palace with the apparent intention of seizing the Dutch sovereign, were stopped, our correspondent Edwin Hartridge reported in an earlier broadcast, by Dutch soldiers who fought them off in the guillotine. Around Amsterdam, too, the parachute invaders have been beaten off, but there is still fierce fighting going on in the streets of Rotterdam, the chief Dutch port. The German invasion was preceded by swarms of air raiders who attacked first, following the precedent set in Poland, Dutch and Belgian airfields, and also bombed far and wide over France. More than 20 French cities ranging from Dunkirk and Calais on the Channel to Lyon in the south were raided. And while apparently here too airfields, or in some cases radio transmitters, were the primary objective, the French government said that more than 50 civilians were killed. Raids on Paris and on the mouth of the Thames seem to have been purely for reconnaissance, but incendiary bombs were dropped on a town in southeastern England. A raid on Brussels early this morning burned several apartment houses and killed civilians. But after a Belgian protest that Brussels was an open town without troops, the Germans promised not to attack it if it remained so. A late dispatch from The Hague says that no attacks seem yet to have occurred in Holland on non-military objectives. This afternoon, however, the Germans claimed that the German city of Freiburg and Breisgau, also an open town, had been bombed and 24 civilians killed. And each side warns of reprisals if the other doesn't stop it. An air raid alarm was reported from Paris about an hour ago, and all over England, people have been warned to be on guard tonight against parachute troops dropping during the blackout. The only bombs dropped on Switzerland appear to have been a mistake. The Swiss are conducting a general mobilization nonetheless. And just before all this began, the British announced that they had occupied Iceland, so far as we know, without protest, to prevent its seizure by Germany. Winston Churchill has replaced Neville Chamberlain as British Prime Minister and will form a coalition cabinet. His Membership has not yet been announced, but Chamberlain will stay in it somewhere. Resigning, Chamberlain said that due and drastic action must be taken to restore confidence. The French Premier Reynaud took into his cabinet prominent extreme conservatives Louis Morin and Jean Barnicolas. Italy is still quiet. The broadcast on the Rome radio station says that it was the blockade more than anything else which prompted Germany to carry the war into new regions where little resistance was expected. This is in flat contradiction of the reasons given by the Nazi leaders for the invasion. Ribbentrop's claim that occupation of the Low Countries anticipated by only a day an Allied attack on Germany with Dutch and Belgian consent, and Goebbels' argument that the Dutch and Belgian governments had promoted and plotted a revolution in Germany. That's the news to this moment.
8:55 Eastern Daylight Time, and Columbia and its affiliated stations bring you Elmer Davis and the news.
German land forces today made some small gains, but their advance is not yet very impressive. This is a three-dimensional war, however, and their command of the air has enabled them to make plenty of trouble in both Holland and Belgium. Parachute troops were dropped at more than 25 places in the Netherlands today, and Brussels reported that German planes were flying over almost without interruption, distributing parachutists over Belgium.
Side to the west side, uptown to downtown, it's Empire Central Radio, ECNR.
trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cat went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot, he blows it eight to the bar. In boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with him. He makes a company jump when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he plays boogie woogie bugle, he was busy as a bee. And when he plays, he makes a company jump way to the bar. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Toot toot, he blows it eight to the bar. He can't blow a note if the bass and guitar isn't with us. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Every night and wakes them up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how he plays. When someone gives him a beat, he really breaks it up. When he plays reveille, he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
In most cases, these small detachments seem to have been killed or captured. But besides the actual damage they do in the interruption of communication, they compel the detachment of a considerable number of troops to deal with them. And in the Netherlands, at least, this diversion is beginning to be a serious danger. Principal centers of the parachute attack today were Rotterdam and The Hague. Swarms of parachute troops were dropped there through the day, and the Germans still hold part of Rotterdam, including the Walhaven airport. This was heavily bombed again by British planes, and apparently is of little use as a landing field. But our correspondent Edwin Hartrich reported earlier that many Germans had got into Rotterdam on merchant ships under the Swedish flag, and hard fighting apparently goes on in the downtown part of the city. The Dutch hold The Hague, but have had to fight not only parachute troops, but Germans in citizens' clothes who have been firing from house windows, and this morning made an unsuccessful raid on the police station. Between the plain clothes and the Dutch uniforms used by some of the Germans, it must be hard for the defenders to know just whom to fight. The German radio tonight claims that parachute troops dropped on the Belgian coast have forced their way into the town of Ostend. Nothing has been heard of this from Allied sources. May be true and maybe not. On land, the Germans have crossed the Isel River near Arnhem and claim the capture of that town, though the Dutch dispute this. In northeastern Holland, where Dutch plans never contemplated serious defense, the invaders have reached Groningen. The principal success claimed by the Germans today was the capture of a strategically important Belgian fort near Liège, which they say was taken by some new tactics, apparently including air bombing, which prove that modern fortifications can be captured by modern methods. And east of the Moselle, an entire German division made what seems to have been a demonstration rather than an attack on the Maginot Line.
don't do it. Relax. When you wanna come.
The French withdrew from their advanced posts, and against heavy artillery fire, the German attack was not pressed. There were several air raids on Amsterdam with many casualties and bombs dropped on Brussels, which the Germans yesterday promised to let alone. Mostly, however, the air forces on both sides were busy bombing communications. Allied planes raided bridges, railroad junctions, and airfields on the Lower Rhine, and the German attacks on many towns in France were chiefly directed against airfields. Both sides, that is, seem to be sticking for the most part to the attack on military objectives, but of course there are civilian casualties. The French reported 148 civilians killed and more than 300 wounded today, and the Germans report several dozen casualties from the Lower Rhine towns. Both British and French have denied the German story that the open town of Freiburg was bombed yesterday, but German radio announcers are saying tonight that Germany's patience is exhausted. Apparently the Dutch, Belgians, and French are expected to go on being patient. And there was news of air fighting in Norway. The British say they bombed a German cruiser off Bergen. The Germans say they hit a British battleship and cruiser off Norway. Winston Churchill has not yet finished making up his cabinet, but he will be Minister of Defense himself and will be associated in an interwar cabinet with Lord Halifax, the Foreign Minister, and with ex-Premier Chamberlain and the Labour leaders Attlee and Greenwood, these last three having no departmental duties. Anthony Eden, former Foreign Secretary, is to be Minister of War. A.V. Alexander, Labourite, is head of the Admiralty, and Sir Archibald Sinclair, the Liberal leader, is Air Minister. Orr, Simon, and Stanley are out. British and French Marines landed today in the Dutch Lake at the request of the Dutch government to guard the oil refineries there. In Washington, it was said that so long as the Dutch government had requested it, this action involved no violation of the Monroe Doctrine. As for the Dutch East Indies, the Japanese Foreign Minister Arita repeated to diplomats today that it was a vital interest to Japan to preserve the status quo, and Secretary Hull repeated his recent statement that any disturbance there would be prejudicial to the security of the whole Pacific area. The White House reports that comments received on President Roosevelt's speech last night were more than 90% failed.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You had a plenty money, 1922. You let other women make a fool of you. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Get out here and get me some money too. You're sitting down wondering what it's all about. You ain't got no money, they will put you out. Why don't you do right like some other men do? homies drink a gin, why don't you do right like some of the men do? Get out of here and get me some money too. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Like some other men do.
Ladies and gentlemen, not in all my 15 years of doing the news have I ever had to report on such a horrific story, nor have I been privy to just the extent of some men's evil. But it is my duty to tell you that, upon liberating a Nazi prison camp in Auschwitz, Poland, Russian soldiers discovered mass graves as far as the eye can see. It is estimated that these graves contain the remains of thousands upon thousands of the Third Reich's prisoners. Prisoners who likely succumbed to the same malnourishment and mistreatment that was endured by the survivors. More on this tragic revelation as it unfolds. For Press Radio News, I'm Lowell Harris.
The enemy has fled, abandoning the area. As our forces move up, they must exercise great care. Every object is a possible booby trap. Some booby traps are more alluring and ingenious than others. If you are a boob, you will be trapped.
Wish the hell you'd shut up. I ain't no boob and I won't be trapped. I wonder, could this be one of them there booby traps? Could be. Boy! A piano! The hell with it. I never could get that last note anywho. Boy! Tobacco! You know, I ain't had a good smoke in years. Hiya, Toots! What cooks? Something new has been added. Booby traps. Safe at last. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, at least up here, I don't have to worry about no booby traps.